meeting is appropriate, and I will go through this. Be patient with me. Good morning. I would like to call this virtual meeting of the Virginia Soil and Water Conservation Board Audit Subcommittee to order. Generally, public bodies are prohibited from meeting electronically under the provisions of the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA. However, language approved by the Governor and General Assembly in Chapter 56 of the 2020 Special Sessions 1 Acts of Assembly allows us to move forward with certain restrictions that I will outline below. Before I review these provisions, please let me take a moment to review how this meeting will work. We want to allow for participation by subcommittee members, staff, and the members of the public who wish to comment. However, it is essential that we are able to manage the conversation effectively. I am chairing this meeting today from my home here in Abingdon, Virginia. In the DCR offices in downtown Richmond are Christine Waddington, Michael Fletcher, and Blair Gordon. They will assist with presentations, responding to comments, and the overall coordination of the meeting. Please be patient with all of us as we work through this. We understand and appreciate the challenges. Chapter 56 of the 2020 Special Sessions 1 Act of Assembly, also known as the Budget Bill, includes language addressing the ability of public bodies to conduct electronic meetings without the need for a quorum being present in a single physical location. The Budget Bill allows public bodies to hold electronic meetings when the Governor has declared a state of emergency pursuant to Code 44-146.17. If, 1, the nature of the declared emergency makes it impractical or unsafe for the public body or governing board to assemble in a single location. 2, the purpose of the meeting is to discuss or transact the business statutorily required or necessary to continue operations of the public body and the discharge of its lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities. The Budget Bill also has language regarding recordings and transcriptions of electronic meetings. Please be advised that this meeting is being recorded. This recording will be available to the public through the DCR website. The comments in the chat room will also be preserved as a public record. Official minutes of this meeting will be drafted and posted in accordance with the regular procedures. The Budget Bill does not allow the Audit Subcommittee to hold an electronic meeting to discuss or transact business for any purpose. Rather, they may do so as long as the agenda items that the public body plans to take up are statutorily required for the public body, or necessary to continue operations and discharge lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities. It is a subcommittee's responsibility to determine whether the nature of the declared emergency makes it impractical or unsafe for the public body or governing board to assemble in a single location. At the conclusion of my remarks, I will ask for a motion for the subcommittee to make this determination. If that motion fails, the electronic meeting will end at that point. The Budget Bill requires compliance with provisions of 2.2-3708.2. Therefore, in accordance with 2.2-3708.2 D2, public bodies must include a telephone number that may be used to notify the public body of any interruption in a telephonic or video broadcast of the meeting. In the event that this disruption occurs, participants should contact Mr. Fletcher by phone or text at 804-317-8934. Additionally, if there is an interruption in the broadcast, the meeting must be suspended until public access is restored. The provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act not addressed by the Budget Bill remain in effect. Before we continue with the business portion of the meeting, I will ask Mr. Fletcher to call the roll for subcommittee members and anticipated staff. Other participants will be recorded. Sorry about that. Other participants will be recorded through the chat window. If you're participating by phone and your name is not called, please call or text Mr. Fletcher at 804-317-8934. In addition, if at any time you lose connection and are unable to connect, please contact Mr. Fletcher at the same number. I will now turn to Mr. Fletcher for the calling of the roll.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mr. Newton.
Here.
Jackie Blunt.
I'm here.
Mr. Chairman, you do have a quorum.
Thank you, Michael. The recommended motion, the Audit Subcommittee for the Virginia Soil and Water Conservation Board certifies that the nature of the declared COVID-19 emergency makes it impractical or unsafe for the subcommittee to assemble in a single location, and further, that the agenda items to be taken up at this meeting are necessary to continue operations and discharge lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities of the subcommittee. Do I hear such a motion?
Yes, Charles Newton makes such motion.
And Kristen Sackie-Blanc second it.
The motion has been made by Mr. Newton and seconded by Ms. Sackie-Blunt. Michael, will you call the roll?
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Newton.
Yes.
Ms. Jackie Blunt.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the motion carries.
Thank you. I want to explain further how we will handle participation by subcommittee members, staff, and the public. Everyone except the individual presenting materials for an agenda item will be muted. Once the presentation is completed, the subcommittee members and only subcommittee members will be unmuted for discussion. Michael, Christine, and Blair will assist me with ensuring subcommittee members are recognized when they have questions or comments. As needed, staff will be unmuted to address questions or concerns. Members of the public will be able to ask questions and provide input by utilizing the chat box function only. As time allows, we will respond to those questions and comments. We will now proceed with the business of the subcommittee as outlined in the agenda. And there we have the agenda in front of us. First up is approval of the minutes from December 16th of 2020.
Mr. Chair, this is Kristen. I want to apologize because I failed in my review of the materials to realize that I was unable to find the minutes from December. And Michael, my apologies to Michael too, because I'm sure that he had sent them through. So I've not reviewed them, and I apologize, I couldn't find them where they were attached.
Okay,
I also was looking and could not find those minutes.
it was sent, I just pulled mine up.
I thought I remembered seeing them at some point, but I could not find them in the last week.
Michael, Christine, is there any way of popping those up on the screen and letting us review those?
Let me send them real quick.
Is that doable?
Yeah, Michael's gonna send them to me and I'll pop them up. I don't.
Or would you want me just to read them?
Well, there's that. Once you get past the opening remarks, I don't think there's much.
Yeah, I don't think the minutes is quite as long as the opening remarks. However you want to work this.
Me. All right. Can y'all can see that, right?
Yes.
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 Okay. So the call to order. Is there a better way to do this? Probably in the Word. I could actually open the file. I don't have it though. Mr. Wilson called the meeting to order at 9:06. He gave the following remarks, which you all just heard. They were the same remarks as
I just gave them a minute ago.
Yep. Mr. Newton moved and Ms. Saki Blanc seconded the following, that the meeting would be electronic. Approval of the minutes from September 23rd. Ms. Saki Blanc moved and Mr. Newton seconded that the minutes from the September 23rd, 2020 meeting be approved as submitted. Everybody agreed to that. Review of the performance improvement plan from Henrico Soil and Water Conservation District. Ms. Ellis, who's the chair of Henrico, thanked the subcommittee for the opportunity to present Henrico's performance improvement plan. She advised that she became chair of the district in January. In January, the district had planned to hire additional staff. Due to the COVID pandemic, that action has been delayed. She asked Mr. Lively, who's the district manager, to provide additional details. Mr. Lively offered to review questions regarding the performance improvement plan submitted and provided to the subcommittee for review. Ms. Saki Blanc asked for clarification regarding the quarterly deadline and the statement that information would be submitted if available. Mr. Lively responded that the intent is to provide information ahead of the deadline. It's not meant to imply information would not be submitted. Mr. Baxter clarified that there's no provision for incomplete reporting in the grant agreement. And Ms. Watlington noted that the department is comfortable with the strategies the district has outlined. For board action, Mr. Newton moved and Ms. Saki Blanc seconded the following, that the subcommittee agrees with the performance improvement plan as presented by the Henrico Soil and Water Conservation District at each monthly meeting of the Soil and Water Conservation District Board. The board shall report progress made towards the successful implementation of the PIP to their Conservation District Coordinator. It was approved unanimously, and Mr. Wilson thanks the representatives from Henrico for participating in the meeting. Audit subcommittee will meet again in March 2021 at a date to be determined. And as there was no further business, the meeting adjourned at 9:25.
I move that we accept the meeting minutes as read by.
Thank you.
And I gladly second that motion.
Job well done, Christine. We'll give you a bonus. Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the minutes. I'll now ask Mr. Fletcher to call the roll.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Newton,
Yes.
Ms. Saki Blanc.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson, the motion
Minutes
carries.
are-
And I would just note that the email with the minutes went out on the 14th. If you don't find those, please let me know. We need to find out if there's a glitch or something, but they should be.
I got those. I got that, Michael.
Yeah. And thank you, Michael, because I definitely don't have a March 14th email for some reason, but it could be my server's problem.
Okay. Thank
Michael,
you.
did you say that you sent them on March 14th or April 14th?
April 14th, sorry.
Yeah, that they weren't attached to the one that I got from you on the 14th that had the instructions for
I'm sorry.
this go to meeting.
Yeah, excuse me, I have an April 14th also, and it's not attached to that.
Okay. It's showing here that they were sent, so I'm not sure. I'll figure that out. So
Yeah,
I'll take a
thank
look
you.
at it.
At
Thank
least
you.
we got it done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's clear it. I did get those, and it's got that, and it's got the draft doc 2021, and it's got the agenda down below where you link in, but maybe it just sent it all to me. I don't know. But the minutes are approved. We'll go on to the next item, our agenda, and that's the letter C, review of 2020 audit results, approval of district audit result notification letter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One, I want to acknowledge that and just state that the department's aware that this year's audit process has been challenging for districts. It has also been challenging and frustrating for the department as well. So just as sort of an overall blanket statement, we are aware and appreciate the patience that districts have exercised with this process and the challenges that it has presented. That said, we are pleased to report that there were no findings that were found during this audit cycle. There were some discussions and observations. As you can see, there were some notes made on the table that were sent out to you. However, they were either limited in number or scope. And during the exit interviews with the auditors, the observations were fully discussed and addressed. In some instances, some of the issues were due to either updates in records or software systems. There were some other cases where adjustments were made to balance sheets or QuickBook records, either at the recommendation of the department or the CPA. But overall, districts did a remarkable job over the last audit cycle, ensuring the financial sureness of their programs and their funds. The letter that we always send out is sort of a general notification letter to all the districts, highlighting any issues that were found. There are two things that we wanted to bring to districts' attention. One is the just for districts to be aware and pay attention to sales tax. They shouldn't be paying it. There's some guidance in the desktop guide that allows for exceptions to that, but overall, routine business transactions, districts should not be paying sales tax for. And the other thing that was noted by the auditors was the treasurer's report presentations made at district meetings, realizing that electronic meeting formats and some of the other challenges over the last year may have created some additional difficulties with that. But we will be happy to answer any questions. That's where we are.
Thank you, Christine. I'd like to applaud all the districts, especially, this is a really good report, especially during the pandemic and all the districts having to really revamp how they do operations virtually and out of the office and in the office and out of the office again and back in the office. So I think this is just tremendous and really need to applaud all the districts across the state for doing a superb job during these challenging times.
I certainly agree with the chair on that and would like to make the recommended motion that the Audit Subcommittee of the Virginia Soil and Water Conservation Board direct the department to send letters to all the soil and water conservation districts regarding the results of the audits that were conducted for the fiscal years ending in June 30, 2019 and June 30, 2020. And the letter will advise districts of any issues noted that must be addressed. But very, very good job.
And happily second it.
All right, the motion was made by Mr. Newton, seconded by Ms. Aki Blunt. I'll now ask Mr. Fletcher to give us the roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Ms. Aki Blunt?
Yes.
Chairman, the motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Now, I know that Mr. Newton has sent some emails previous, and it's not on my agenda, or I might even only be on the correct updated agenda. But anyway, on Henricopolis, did we have, before we go to our next meetings, is there any update on Henricopolis, how that situation is going? Did we get anything from them?
Yes, we received an email letter late yesterday. You all should have just gotten it. I will be happy to go over it easily with y'all or at a high level. They are implementing their performance improvement plan. To my knowledge, there's one about administrative staff access to the VAX tracking program that for some reason the district seems to be having an issue with. but I will follow up on that one. They are providing the attachment e-reports to DCR well in advance of the quarterly deadlines to make sure all supporting information is available. They have changed the order in which they run their supporting reports, and it seems to be, makes the workload easier. A formatting issue with the attachment E has been addressed, and there are no longer any issues with that. And they are now having their treasurer at Henrico review the reports, which seems to have made a difference in both ensuring accuracy and deepening her expertise. So as far as I'm aware, except for that one issue about access to the tracking program, which I'll follow up on, Henrico is doing very well.
And the reason, Mr. Chair, the reason I asked for a report was I wanted to make sure that Henrico was getting whatever support they needed to overcome the difficulties they'd had. And it appears from their letter that the Conservation District Coordinator and DCR in general have been very supportive. And just wanted them to also know that if they needed training or other resources beyond what DCR had offered, that our association would be a good source. So glad to hear they're making good progress and that DCR has been able to help them through this process.
Yes, it's good to hear that they are really on the right track. So, and I appreciate that, Mr. Newton, as well. I appreciate Henrico for all the hard work trying to get caught back up and doing things correctly. That's what we all need to do. So, is there any, I guess our next, any more discussion on Henrico? If not, we'll go on to letter D, which is next meetings.
I am assuming y'all will need to meet in September. The CDCs will have conducted their assessments by then, and we will be able to share the results of those assessments. We do not have a date for anything for September.
All right, so we will not meet in May. There'll be no need for that. So we'll sub-audit committee will meet again in September again.
Correct.
Okay. Well, is there any further business that needs to be brought before the audit subcommittee?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
And I second.
The motion to adjourn was made by Ms. Saki Blunt and seconded by Mr. Newton. Michael, we'll let you call the roll.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Newton,
Yes.
Ms. Saki Blunt.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the motion carries.
All right. Before I officially adjourn the meeting, I'd like to thank everyone for joining in with us this morning. And hopefully before long, we'll be able to do this in person. I can't wait till that happens. I'm not very electronic, so until 10 o'clock at our regular Soil and Water Conservation Board meeting, thank each and every one of you and have a good morning. The meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.